Well, good morning and welcome to this morning's webinar from EcoProd, an introduction to Aqualytics using wind water intelligence. Before we get started kind of with the meat of the presentation, I just wanted to cover a few kind of housekeeping frequently asked questions. If you could change the slide, please. So, so we are, that's all right. We are recording the session this morning so that you can watch it back afterwards. You will get an email probably on Monday that gives you a link to watch back the recording. In that email, there'll also be a link to download the slides that we're using this morning. We can rerun this again for other people. So if you'd like us to run a private session for a group of colleagues, then please get in touch and just ask. We'd be very happy to do that sort of thing. And you'll notice this morning all the lines are muted, so we can't hear you, but you can still ask questions or make comments as we go through. The GoToWebinar control panel has a question and answer function. It also has a chat feature. You can use either of those to direct questions to me, and I'll see what I can cover during the session. If we run out of time, then we'll make sure we follow up with you afterwards. Okay, so an agenda for this morning. We're going to cover just a few kind of introductions, a little bit about who EcoProd are, and then I'm going to hand over to Avi, who's our main presenter for today, to cover the rest of the sections. My slide isn't changing, there we go. So more about the Aqualytics WINT technology, and Avi, I'll leave all of this to you to go through when we get into the kind of core of the presentation. So introductions, my name is Rachel Clinton. I work here on the business development team at EcoProd. Our main presenter is Avi, as we call him, from Aqualytics. EcoProd are a company specializing in water saving technology. The core of what we have done historically is offering waterless urinals, but we also offer water reducing taps, and now we've had this partnership with Harvey and the Aqualytics team looking at the flowless water intelligence system, again for leak detection but also water reducing type functionality. We work with a number of different customers from very large to very small, so I'm on the next one, sorry Avi.
Yeah, there we are.
So big multi-site organizations like McDonald's, KFC, Marks and Spencer's, what was the Wyvale Garden Centre Group, those sorts of people, but also village halls, public conveniences for in car parks and local authorities and those sorts of things. Anybody really who's interested in reducing their water bill and reducing their overall use of water, whether that's in terms of what they're using in the washrooms, but also what they might be losing through leaks elsewhere in the system. I think, Avi, I will hand over to you at this point.
Okay, so thank you very much for that. Yes, a quick overview about what we do and where we are, and it actually all starts with a story actually of how this whole system came about. Basically, there was an entrepreneur who retired, and after years and years and years of hard work, he promised his wife two things. He promised her a beautiful home and a wonderful holiday. So they built the home. They went away on the wonderful holiday. They came back to the beautiful home, opened the front door, and lo and behold, a ton of water came out. There'd been a disastrous leak, burst pipe at the top, and it had basically destroyed the house. So he decided that he wanted to do something, create something, build something that would make sure this never happened again. And he wanted to do two things. First of all, he wanted to, if you like, have an advanced warning system. So he wanted to understand how his water was being deployed in his home at all times, so he could control and monitor and see it in real time. And secondly, have the ability to turn off the water if there was a disaster and have that in automatic shut-off mode, if you like, so they could automatically monitor and do that for him. And so that's actually what he did. So he actually created, if you like, a mix between a Fitbit for water, so it knows what your water's doing all the time, and a fuse box for water, so that the water can be controlled and turned off if need be. So what does Flowless actually look like? What does it do, etc.? Well, here it is. That's a picture of it. And actually, if any plumber looks at this, they'll think, "Hello, that's basically a water meter," and that's actually what it is. It is actually a water meter, and all we've done is we've actually added a few little extras into it so that any plumber can actually fit this. All we've done is put a computer in there and a SIM card, and that is really the whole technology behind this. It starts to monitor the water. So when your plumber fits this, basically just like you pair your phone in your car, so he will pair this up, and once he's paired it up, it will start to learn how you use your water. And the beautiful thing about that is it gives you three big advantages. First of all, it gives you the risk mitigation. So if there is that disastrous scenario of a burst pipe and you know, there's just water pouring everywhere at 1600 litres which per minute, which is really horrific, you've actually got the ability to have that shut off immediately, and so avoid insurance, work closure, damage, etc. So risk mitigation is one. The other thing it does is data analysis. So it's constantly analyzing how you use your water, and that will catch the hidden leak. So lots of times, in fact, 20% of our water bills at home and at work are actually being paid for wasted water, which is quite ridiculous, and we don't even know about it. That's the dripping toilet scenario, the tap that's been left on, etc., or you know, a broken water softener that keeps emptying and refilling, etc., and it will cut that out for you as well, and that leads to bill reduction, which is pretty good, because if we can save 20% of the water use, we can also save 20% of the water that you do. So what does it actually do? How does it do it? Oops, sorry. What does it actually do? How does it do it? It uses water recognition, water pattern recognition, and it also uses flow to measure. So it's a mixture, if you like, of technologies that are put together. And you put it by the inlet and it starts to learn how you use your water. It's GSM, so it's not Wi-Fi enabled, and the reason we did that is we wanted a robust system so that if there's an electricity cut or a power cut, data isn't lost, and it's full control all the time anyway, stands by itself. And it alerts facility managers or whoever you want to shut off water in emergency, and there are various thresholds you can set with regards to that. So for instance, there's a home and away threshold. So if you're away, you can set it to away mode, or you can set it, for instance, we have a race course, and obviously on race day there's a huge amount of water being used, all the attendees, so they have a race day policy, and they have a policy for the rest of the time that it's not being used for race, it's just offices, etc. So there are various policies you can put in there, and really what it's all about is this data that is sent to you all the time, protecting your property, isolating the problem for you if you're not there to decide what to do, and you've got, as I said, the manual and automatic override setting. We have a backup battery in every single unit, so that and that battery can actually last up to a year, so that if for some reason it becomes unplugged, though the dashboard will actually tell you whether your system is unplugged, and will let you know so that you can make sure that it's plugged back in. So what did I mean by water fingerprinting? Water fingerprinting basically allows us to understand what is using water and how it's using water. So every bit of water producing kit that you have at home or in the office produces water in a particular way. It's a water fingerprint. So this is medium irrigation. This is the pattern of medium irrigation. So basically you can see there's that steep up shot, and then you get the leveling off. So that's going to be irrigation. This is a typical toilet flush. This is what a toilet flush looks like. And basically, we can go on and on. There's a shower, there's a washing machine, a dishwasher. Each pattern, if you like, is recognized. So oftentimes, we can actually tell you whether you've got a stuck toilet, what sort of a leak it is. And that's very, very useful. So it's 24/7 protection. There's a web-based dashboard, which we'll come to, which allows you to monitor, control, and automate your water consumption. There's an app. You also get SMS, and you can also control it from your dashboard, and you will get both an email and an SMS and a blip on your app if there is an anomaly in your water usage. Typically, our customers see a 20% water saving. It's highly accurate. We can detect an anomaly of or water being used up to 0.4 litres, which is literally a tiny, tiny drop. We can fit all types of pipework and sizes, from 3/4 inch right up to 8 inch, etc. And we're constantly monitoring. There's a 24/7 service which is constantly monitoring, so that if your facility manager doesn't react in time, there's perimeter fencing so that we do. It's also RAS approved. This is an example of the dashboard and the SMS. If you look at the dashboard, you can see the chart, and that chart gives you a monthly report as to what you're using monthly, a weekly report, a daily report, and on the daily you can actually drill down into hourly. There's a little red blip behind the hand. If I were to push that, or you were to push that, it would actually turn the water off from your dashboard. And you can see at the as well, there's big data at the top where it says 7,300, etc. That's usage in the last 3 months, etc. And you can drill down, you can get Excel reports out of it, etc., and understand exactly. And that's monitoring real time. If we go to the phone, you can see that's in case of a leak. If you're the facility manager or whoever's been authorized, you'd send 1 to close the valve and stop the water flow, send 2 to ignore the water leak. So that particular person has actually set that to manual. In other words, they want the ability to control the water turn off rather than it automatically turn off itself. So these are a couple of case studies. This one, if you like, is the disastrous. The first one is the disastrous leak scenario. And what happened in that one was a commercial kitchen, and there was a leak out of hours. It would have totally destroyed the kitchen. They wouldn't have been able to feed anybody. And that basically saved 486.4 litres per hour. But the most important thing was that it prevented the kitchen being closed and all the disruption that would have followed. Then there was another, the second example was a laboratory. There was a leak right above a laboratory. It was caused by a block pipe, which then exploded. And there was a major leak that was going absolutely nuts, but it was set to automatic shut off, and so prevented any damage to the premises. So those were, if you like, the disastrous leaks. The other leaks that we've had is we had a pizza shop, and basically this is actually an example of a pizza shop. There was a break-in, coffee machine was removed by force and stolen. The water pipe that was disconnected caused huge flooding. 38 grand was lost in revenue, 14 grand was the cost of replacement. After that, insurers asked that a leak detection prevention system would be fitted. And in a similar pizza shop, we found that the pizza shop closed at 11 o'clock at night and opened at 10 next morning. And we found in August that overnight, from midnight onwards, there was 900 litres of water going. So and that's a lot of water. 70 litres is a bath. So we knew there was a big problem. The pizza owner got a text 4 minutes literally after that had happened, literally at midnight, went in straight away because he had it set to manual. He wanted to make sure that he always had the ability to turn off himself, and he didn't find a drop of water anywhere. So he rung us up in the morning and said, there's something wrong with your system. I'm losing 900 litres per hour, but I can't see anything. And we were able to use the algorithm charts before. We told him that he had a problem with his water softener. His water softener was emptying and refilling the whole time. Now, to him and to his staff, there was no problem because the water softener was reacting as it normally does, just using a lot more salt. But in actual fact, that would have cost him, if left unattended, probably about £7,000 per quarter. So these are actually quite important case studies. What's really fundamental as well, and why we love working with EcoProd, is because oftentimes we can establish a baseline for the amount of water being used in premises. So once we've established that baseline, we can then bring in EcoProd. They can then put in their water efficiency measures, and we can actually then very accurately measure those water savings for the customer. So for instance, if urinals are fitted, if water saving taps are fitted, water saving shower heads are fitted, we will actually be able to, having established the baseline originally, say to the customer, you're actually saving X amount of litres because you've installed these water efficiency measures, and you're also on the way to sustainability. So that's really, in a nutshell, what we do. Very happy to take any questions you may have.
So if anybody would like to ask any questions, please use the question or the chat function, or give it a few seconds just to see if anything comes through. I haven't got anything so far. No, I don't think so. You must have covered everything perfectly.
Fantastic.
Okay.
Wow, what a vote of confidence.
Yeah. In that case, I'm going to say thank you very much, Avi, for your presentation this morning. For the people on the line, as I say, you will get an email with a link to the recording and to the slides. If you do have any follow-up questions, please get in touch with me directly, and I'll make sure we get an answer to you. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Thank you.